Okay, so it's time to go over our last position group of the offensive side of the ball. We're going to go through the Colts tight end room, and we're going to start right at the top with Tyler Warren. I mean, where else do you start? You know, for the first time in a long time, the Colts finally have a tight end to be excited about since, having Dallas Clark every season. I would even go to say since being excited about one season with Eric Ebron, but I'm talking about a tight end that's going to be here for the majority of his career. He's going to be good for 10 years. He's going to be good for 8 to 10 years, maybe even more. I mean, Tyler Warren has everything. He fits the Colts mold perfectly. When Chris Ballard went on to the podium to talk about, I think when he got hired by the Colts, he became the Colts general manager. This is the player that would pop up in his mind. This is a perfect example of that player. You look at Tyler Warren, and he stuck with Penn State for 5 years. And Penn State is the closest to the Colts. It's like the college version of the Colts. You know what I mean? Penn State likes to grow organically. They like to recruit organically. They like to keep things within the organization to fight there. Like every single position is fought for. Everything is clawed and scratched for. And, looking at this Penn State tight end room over the last couple of years, I mean, Tyler Warren had to earn it. Look at all the tight ends that were in the room with, ahead of him. You had Theo Johnson, who's with the Giants. You had Bretton Strange. You had Pat Fryermuth. He was working behind. He was working behind all these guys, and then he finally got his chance to shine and get a little more time here and there. And, last year when it was his turn to just take the reins, I mean, he took it, and the rest is history. He just had a phenomenal year. And Tyler Warren, I mean, that's very important to talk about, to bring that up. The way PSU, the way Penn State, brings in their players, they recruit, they build for championships through recruiting, through organically, and that kind of all ties back around to Chris Ballard and the way the Colts like to build. They like to build through the draft. They like to only go to free agency if you really need to. They like to let every single player fight, scratch, and claw for every single spot in this roster. Every single player in this 53-man roster will fight, claw, and scratch for wherever they land up. They're not just going to be given anything. They're not going to be given their spot. They're not going to be given a starting role. They're going to have to work for it. And, an awesome thing about Tyler Warren sticking with Penn State is, when he was asked if he ever thought about transferring or leaving Penn State, he said there was never a thought in his mind to leave Penn State. And talked to Colin Chrissy, Penn State writer. He's talked to Tyler Warren. He's asked him a couple questions, and let me tell you, something that he said I really agree with, and I really like how he said it. I mean, when you have a player that sticks with the organization, and Penn State, builds the way that they do, Tyler Warren, I mean, he's going to bleed blue and white for the rest of his football career. He's going to stick with the Colts. He's going to be as loyal to the Colts as he can be. Exactly how he was to Penn State, because that's the way Penn State builds. That's the way they were built. He went through the college program. It's not just transactional. It's a program. It's where players go and they develop, and they stay for their career. And typically, like guys like Tyler Warren, it's a perfect example of what Penn State does. They like to build organically, and they like to keep those guys there and keep their guys in house. They don't like to dip in the transfer portal if they don't need to, but they're going to bring competition. They're going to do what they need to, but it's exactly the way the Colts do things. So, I mean, he's going to a similar spot, in terms of the way, both of the places build. And then on top of that, they're both very similar in the way they play football. The Colts like to play smash mouth football. They like to beat you down. They like to run the football, and really, by the time the fourth quarter comes around, they hope that defense is exhausted, is tired, and just has a hard time keeping up with whoever is running in the backfield, whether it's Jonathan Taylor, Khalil Herbert, or the newly drafted DJ Giddens from Kansas State. What's awesome about Tyler Warren, and why am I bringing this up, is because they play similar, yeah, but it also helps and contributes to the fact that Tyler Warren already has a near elite understanding of pro blocking and pro run blocking and pass blocking and where to go and all that kind of thing, all those kind of things, and that's awesome. He's gritty. He looks for contact. He wants to go and block somebody. you know, and the fact that he learned and he developed in a system that is similar to the Colts, he couldn't have landed in a better spot. The Colts couldn't have been a better place. The Colts do a lot of similar things. Penn State developed him perfectly for teams like the Colts. And it's very important for a tight end to a running game. I don't think many people understand what a tight end that understands the run game, run block schemes and all those kind of things, how important that is and how much that can contribute to the running game being elite and being as potent as it can be. The tight end is very important in that aspect. And Tyler Warren brings that. He's only going to elevate Jonathan Taylor to the next level, or whoever's running back there. He's going to make it that much easier. When the Colts had Jack Doyle was so good at run blocking. He had such a good understanding. He was so great at it that when he left, you saw the little dip off. Mo Ali Cox wasn't the same, but Mo Ali Cox, he does a good job at run blocking. He's gotten better and he understands it more now, of course. But Jack Doyle was that run blocking tight end that once he left, the Colts missed drastically. They missed him big time. And Tyler Warren is just a Jack Doyle on steroids. You remember Jack Doyle? That dude is awesome. The jack of all trades. It's kind of what Tyler Warren is. It's a jack of all trades. He could run block. He could pass block. He could run good routes. He's short-handed. He's gritty. He's good blocking either way, run blocking and pass blocking. I mean, anything you ask this guy, he's going to deliver, and he's going to deliver at a high level. He has high standards. And couldn't have gotten a better player in terms of the mindset, in terms of the way he was developed at Penn State. Perfect. So Tyler Warren, really excited for Tyler Warren. And in 2024, last year, it was his big breakout year. He had 1,244 receiving yards on 104 receptions, 11.5 yards per reception, 8 touchdowns. So he's going to bring some intense flavors to the Colts offense. He's going to help guys like Alec Pierce, Pittman, Downs, A.D. Mitchell, and even Jonathan Taylor and running backs coming out of the backfield to get open. Really good tight ends. You go and look at some of the best teams in the NFL that are consistently, getting far into the playoffs, making the Super Bowl, winning Super Bowls. All of these teams have a top-tier tight end. So hopefully Tyler Warren can develop into that top-tier tight end. The Colts haven't had a tight end like that since Dallas Clark. Yeah, you had that one really strong year from Eric Ebron. You had a pretty good year. I mean, Jack Doyle was good, but Jack Doyle wasn't no Dallas Clark in terms of receiving the ball. Jack Doyle was just a guy that was good at everything and was a really strong presence, and he was good at catching the football. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying that Tyler Warren is a version of Jack Doyle on steroids. He just, he could receive the ball better, catch the ball better, route running, all that kind of thing. All those kind of things. So Tyler Warren's a great pickup, and I mean, like I said, look at all the Penn State tight ends in the NFL that he had to fight and claw to get. He had to wait behind them, but he stuck by there. And look at all the tight ends. Pat Freiermuth has turned out fine. Brenton Strange has looked good lately, and even Theo Johnson. All of these tight ends have contributed in their own ways. So Tyler Warren's gonna be no different. I think he could be the best out of all those three, out of this group of 4 tight ends that I just mentioned, or 3 including Tyler Warren is what we're trying to get at. But yeah, there you go. Tyler Warren, tight end number 1, 13th overall pick, couldn't have been a better fit for the Colts in the first round. Dream scenario. We didn't think he was gonna go there. We thought it was gonna be Colson Loveland from Michigan. That's what I was going to be there. I did not think that Tyler Warren was going to get there. Really didn't. But he did, so I'm thankful for it. The Colts are going to be thankful for it, and I hope he's going to be good for the Colts for a very long time. All right. And now you have number 2, Mo Ali Cox. I'm going through them courtesy of OurLads.com for the depth chart. I always look on Our Lads because they're much better than ESPN. The issue with ESPN is they only show you top 4. It's a very basic. It's very bland. There's not much flavor to it. Our Lads, you get to see where the player came from. They have color codes for, are they a rookie or, have they been there for a while? They have color codes for things. They're on IR. Are they hurt? OurLads.com is a great place to go to see depth charts and even do research on your own, because ESPN, you may not know every player that's on your team if you just go to look at ESPN. You have to go to ourlads.com. So I'll leave that link in the description. Great place to go and look at your team's depth chart. Don't go to ESPN. Go to ourlads.com. But Mo Ali Cox, number 2. He, so far in his career, he has 1,233 receiving yards. That is 11 less than Tyler Warren had in 1 year in 2024 at Penn State. And let's not forget, the amount of, mouths there are to feed at Penn State. We talked about how much Penn State likes to run the football. They run first. And look what happened when he had a good quarterback, too. It just elevated him to a new level. But, just the point of Mo Ali Cox being with the Colts for 6, 7+ years, and he still has 11 less receiving yards than Tyler Warren had in 1 year at Penn State. It really goes to show you, what kind of an option he was in receiving. He's not a receiving option. He's not a consistent option in the passing game. He's all right. I mean, like I said, he has 1,233 receiving yards in like 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. He has 114 receptions, 15 touchdowns. He just doesn't offer much outside of blocking. Not consistent enough. Hasn't done much. He's had a couple, it seems like he'll give you one big play per season. Other than that, it's a couple catches here and there and a couple of really aggravating drops. That's what Mo Ali Cox has been. Number 3, Drew Ogletree. Ogletree is a guy that just hasn't been able to step up and make the most of the opportunities that there have been, that have been available within this Colts offense. He's a little bit different than Mo. He's not really a blocker like Mo, but he is more of a quick hitter type of a tight end, a good tight end 3. Maybe he could be a tight end 2 behind Tyler Warren. In the first place, I was a little confused by why Mo Ali Cox was brought back. Maybe it was to just kind of I don't know. I don't really think Tyler Warren needs it, but just to have another head to, bounce ideas off or, learn from in terms of studying film and stuff like that. But I really don't think Tyler Warren needs that. Tyler Warren knows what he's looking at. I mean, he was with Penn State for 5 years. So, I don't know, but I just thought bringing Mo Ali Cox back was questionable. I can see him being cut. I could see him being cut and keeping Drew Ogletree and JEalni Woods. Maybe even cutting Drew and Mo and keeping JEalni and Will, or even vice versa. You could cut Will and Mo and keep Drew and JEalni. I think JEalni Woods will make the roster. I think he will make it. If he could finally stay healthy, that would be awesome. And that's number 4. He had high upside coming out of Virginia Tech. He was an exciting option. He's huge. He had a couple big plays for us. I mean, the most memorable one for me is a game winner versus the Chiefs in the Matt Ryan year. Sorry to bring you back to that year, but that's really the only memorable moment I have JEalni Woods, and I think that's the only year he played a significant amount of football, a decent amount of football. Other than that, he's been injured his entire career except for 1 year. So it's been disappointing that he's been injured as much as he has, and he hasn't been able to be on the field. And sometimes, it's kind of like the Paris Campbell situation. Like, we feel like JEalni Woods has high upside and he can be a good option, but just can't stay healthy, just can't stay on the field. And sometimes the best ability is availability. How could you grow, develop, and get better if you're not even on the field? That's unfortunate, but it's just the NFL. It's just the way it goes. And he was supposed to be the next big thing for the Colts tight end room. He was supposed to be good. Just didn't work out. But in his short career, his 1 year worth of stats, since he only played a decent amount in 2022, 25 receptions, just over 300 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's it. And then back to Drew Ogletree quick. He's similar, but instead of just being available for one season, he's been available for every season except for his rookie year. He played 29 games, 256 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. There's not much there. They're good presence. They bring competition, but they just haven't been able to, Drew Ogletree has been on the field, hasn't been able to make most of his opportunities, but then JEalni Woods, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. So, tight end room has just been a room full of missed opportunities. And then you have Sean McKeon. Sean McKeon. He was with Dallas for his first few years in the league. Never really contributed. Never made a name for himself. He was just really competition, a practice squad guy. 38 receiving yards, 1 touchdown in 3 years, where he actually played just 3 out of the 4. So he's just brought in for competition. That's all I really have there for him. It's really just the truth. Only 38 receiving yards in 4 years. But an emergency guy, that's it. Will Mallory is another tight end that has been similar to Drew Ogletree, but a little bit worse. He hasn't been able to make do of any opportunities, really. And you could blame this quarterback room, but there's only so much blame you could put in the quarterback room when you're, talking about accountability and responsibility to these guys and what they have to do on the field. Will Mallory hasn't been able to seize opportunity that, the opportunities that have been there. There have been injuries. Our tight end room there's a reason why we went and drafted a tight end in the first round at 13 overall. There's a reason why tight end was a common theme for the Colts pick in the first round, whether it was Colson Lovin or Tyler Warren. There just wasn't much there. So Will Mallory is just, maybe he's another good quick hitter tight end 3 type of player. That's it though. And all right, next guy is Albert Okwuegbunam. Albert O. He logged a decent year with Denver a few years ago in the beginning of his career. I think it was the second year of his career. First year he did a little bit. Second year he did, he had a decent year. A decent tight end 2 caliber year. He had 33 receptions, 330 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. But other than that, there really hasn't been much there. He really didn't do anything else any other years. One year he just missed the mark of 100 receiving yards, and another year he just made it over 100. And then there was one year I just told you about, 330 receiving yards, 33 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. So he had 1 year there where he, showed some promise, but he really hasn't been anything since. Since being with Denver, he then went to Philadelphia. Didn't really do anything with Philadelphia either. So it's just kind of like, yeah, he's just brought him for competition. That's it. And then you have Maximilian Mang, Syracuse, 6'7", 267 pounds. Like I said, for Syracuse, he played 4 years total, but he had a total of 6 receiving yards and 1 touchdown, and 4 years he played there. Probably won't make the roster. Probably won't make the practice squad either. But yeah, there's your Colts tight end room going into the 2025 Colts training camp. Training camp is starting here in about 12 days. I'm excited for training camp. I believe it's starting July 23rd. Recording this right now, it's the 11th, so we're getting there. Football's almost here. The Hall of Fame game is the last day of July. Football's right on the corner. It's not too far away. I'm excited, can't wait, and I think it's going to be a good year. I think Daniel Jones is going to start, and I think Tyler Warren's going to be an awesome tight end. But don't forget what I said. If Anthony Richardson wins quarterback 1, I'm going to be shaving my hair. I don't think it's going to happen. That's why I'm doing it. I'm that confident in Daniel Jones being QB1. So give me Daniel Jones. Give me an exciting Tyler Warren and an interesting. The rest of the room are really wild cards. I mean, I think after Tyler Warren here, we're gonna have to be looking for a guy that can be a tight end 2 or 3. I mean, maybe Drew Ogletree can be a 2. Mo Ali Cox can be a 2, just as like a blocker and a receiver. Once in a while. Maybe JEalni Woods could finally stay. No, go figure. This would be the year that JEalni Woods stays healthy after we drafted a tight end in the first round. I could see that happening just the way it goes. And if JEalni Woods is tight end 2, beautiful. Then Mo Ali Cox or Drew Ogletree is a perfect tight end 3. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. So thank you for tuning in to another segment of the Horseshoe Hustle. Appreciate you guys for stopping by, listening to me. If you made it to the end, comment down below Tyler Warren. I don't know what I don't know what other keywords, or give me your predictions for Tyler Warren. How many receiving yards, how many touchdowns. I'm gonna say 600 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, maybe close to 70 receptions. I could see that being a year for Tyler Warren. So you guys let me know what you think. Give me your prediction for Tyler Warren. That's all I got for you guys today. This is Jason, and I will catch you guys next time. Thank you for watching.